Hello, football edit. Welcome back to Let's Talk Football. My name is Tato Toteti, otherwise known as TT, the former attacking midfielder of Hellenic and Abakulusi African Wanderers. And today we are talking about one of the biggest topics in African football right now. Of course, this is a big weekend, a Champions League. Can Mamelodi Sundowns finally go all the way and win the CAF Champions League this season? Of course, they have the upper hand in the second leg of the CAF Champions League against the Esperance of the Tunis. 1-0. I mean, it's not easy to win 1-0 in Tunisia, especially when you played against the side that haven't lost a game for a couple of years now. I think if I'm not mistaken, last time they lost a Champions League game was back in 2017. I'm not sure about the league game, but yeah. So Esperance, I mean, you saw even when they how they played against Al Ahly. So they just one of those sides. It's so hard to crack them, and Mamelodi Sundowns managed to come out victorious, but it's far from over because Esperance will come gun blazings on Saturday. So according to the former midfielder, Mamelodi Sundowns or Benedicto Villarasi, he said this might be just their year, and which I agree with him. Um, Villarasi stated that he believes that this is the season that they'll finally lift the CAF Champions League trophy. He said that he believes it's the time for the club now to win the Champions League this season, and it's a final before a final. Their game against the Esperance, second leg of the Champions League. The Sundowns have turned the corner at the right time, and he's saying this because you'd remember how they started this season, even in the league, they struggled, and even with them struggling, it was so hard for other teams to, get the convincing results against them. So said Uvila said it's not just about winning games, they are controlling matches, they're dictating tempos and showing serious maturity in African competition. But the real question for me is what has changed that makes people believe that this season is different? And for me, now what I've observed is if you go back to last season, Sundowns reached the CAF Champions League final and lost to Pyramids. And that defeat, it had not just the club, but South African football as a whole. But here's the thing for me, good teams they don't just lose finals, they learn from them. And Mamelodi Sundowns is just one of those teams that they'll keep on grinding and grinding. And if they have to learn from their experiences and matches, they do that. The loss exposed key few things, game management under pressure last season, finishing crucial moments, and just handling tactical changes in big finals, And when you check now this season, you look at how Sundowns has matured under Okadoso. They just don't play attractive football. They manage game better and they win if they have to win ugly. And in African football, that's the difference between champions and runner-ups, to be quite honest. And one thing you notice about the Sundowns right now is consistency. You know, every match, whether it's home or away, they play with the same identity, high possessions, short passing game. If they have to play long, they play structured build up, aggressive pressing after losing the ball. And it doesn't matter who plays. The structure still remains the same, but more importantly is the belief, you can see what Villegas meant when he said every game they go into it with the high determination and hard work. This is no longer a team that is in doubt of itself, especially in Africa. It's a team that expects to win. I think everyone now expects Mamelodi Sundowns to win. And that mindset is extremely dangerous for any opponent on the continent. And another major advantage is player performance um, and the squad depth. Right now, Sundowns have players hitting top form at the perfect time, and for many fans, one of the standout players has been their striker, Brian Leon, and their attacking combination around him, but also their stability in midfield and defense as well. Personally, a player like Adams has been one of the best Mamelodi Sundowns players so far. It feels like they've signed a new player. He brings control in the midfield, those long range passing, defensive splitting passes, defensive discipline, just in terms of maintaining the structure, um, big game mentality, which is what is important, And in defense, you have guys like Abu Kekana, who deserves a serious recognition as well. He has shown inconsistency and composure, especially in the high pressure matches. Some fans even argue the fact that he's worth having go Bafana Bafana, considering that Abu player like Abu Ngezana and CBC, have been having questionable performances in the national team. And obviously, we know Hugo Bros is a very loyal coach to his players, but because in African competition, he experiences and the positioning sometimes matters more than the loyalty of the coach or just what he wants, in terms of the structure. But that's a topic for another day for Ibafana Bafana. But we also have to talk about the bigger picture here. Is again Bafana Bafana, but not talking about players. A strong, sorry, Mamelodi Sundowns is directly linked to a strong national team. And why do I say this? Because at large core of Bafana squad comes from Sundowns. Yes, they had players from Go Pirates last time, but when Sundowns players are informed, the national team benefits from that sharp match fitness as well. And technical understanding improves. The players know each other much better. The confidence level rises in international competitions. For me, once you have that believe within the squad and within the national team setup, it's an advantage. When Sundowns dominates domestically in Africa, Bafana tends to be more stable as well. So this isn't just about football. This is about South African football identity as a whole. I mean, yes, people will argue, but you look at a team like Al Ahly at some point, 2010, 2008 up until 2010, they had the same setup from players about who came from Al Ahly and few maybe because Amalek, and they did well. Um, we also tried to apply that with the Orlando Pirates, but I think it was not the problem with that pool of players in the last AFCON was not that they came from Pirates, but I think the exposure in African football. Yes, they were playing CAF Champions League a season before we played the AFCON, but it's not like they were doing it year in year out like Mamelodi Sundowns since 2016. So yeah, for me now, when you put everything together with regards to Mamelodi Sundowns, last season, the painful final loss, the improved tactical maturity for them, strong squad form, experience in African competition, and just that winning mentality. It's easy to understand why Upenedict Vilagazi believes this could be Sundowns here. But football is never a guarantee. You know, you still have to play experience in second leg. CAF Champions League is very brutal. You travel, it's pressure, it's hostile. The environment and moments can change everything in a second. But still, right now, Sundowns look like a team that believes that they belong at the top of Africa. And when a team reaches that point, they become very difficult to stop. But I want to hear from you. What do you think? Do you think Mamelodi Sundowns can finally go all the way and become African champions this season? Let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is Let's Talk Football. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.